Good morning, everybody. Welcome to McGrath's School of Isshin-ryu. My name is Vena. I'm broadcasting live from Wake Forest, North Carolina. Today is Wednesday, December 17, 2014, and we're making a short video today about there was some discussion on Facebook about the Isshin-ryu punch and where it should be delivered to a target, let's put it that way, and that the basic targets, as Sloan Sensei said in his video, is to the center line of the body, and that some other people posted that you punch through the target, which is the way we were taught here at McGrath's School of Isshin-ryu. If you're looking to punch somebody here, you wouldn't aim here, you would aim to at least the middle or through the body. So your target is actually the spine. If you're looking to hit in the chest, you want to punch through your opponent and do your distance and timing so that you punch through the target. Now, in basic exercises, the youngsters are taught to stand in a seisan stance, heel-toe posture, knees are bent, hands are in chamber, eyes are up. And that we try to build a posture for the youngsters where their head is not always down. A lot of people, when you see them do kata, when you see them do their kabuto katas, they have a posture where their head is down. We try, I do it myself. On occasion, when I lose my train of thought, I let my head drop. So I am guilty of it, just as, others are. So it's a work in progress. It's not something that you can do and do it all the time, especially if you're trying to teach the kata. Sometimes when you teach the kata, you do have a tendency to drop your head. However, to review those basics, they are heel-toe. Okay, your feet should be in a heel-toe posture, not too much outside your shoulders. Try to keep your feet under your shoulders, or let me put it this way, in proximity of your shoulders, so that you're not like this, where your feet are, let's say this is the heel of one foot and these are the toes of the other foot. If you're like this, let me see if I can get it in the picture where your heel and your toe is nowhere next to one another, that's a little bit too wide. So the first things first, heel-toe configuration of the feet in the proximity of both shoulders. Next thing is knees are bent. Hands are on the, or in the proximity of the obi, of your waist. Now when you step up or step backward and throw the punch, as Richie Roberto said, as I should say, Sensei Roberto said, that if you throw the punch straight and your opponent is shoulder to shoulder with you, you will probably hit that opponent in his arm. If you throw the punch straight. If you throw the punch to the center line and you are shoulder to shoulder, you will have to skew your arm on an angle, because it will not be then a straight punch. A straight punch off the obi, if you are shoulder to shoulder, you will punch your opponent in the arm. Now, if you do a straight punch and you are not shoulder to shoulder, where your feet, which is what I teach the students, your feet have to be inside his circle, his or her circle, so that when you do your proper distance and timing, when you punch through your target, you won't extend your punch before you hit the target. That's very, very important. Now, Sensei Roberto made a case about this online because they were saying they had posted a picture of Sensei Nagel practicing on the island of Okinawa, and one of the students said that is the first generation student doing it wrong because he's not punching center line. Well, in the picture it looks as if Sensei Nagel is leaning with one of his shoulders and that he is punching low. I cannot explain the picture, nor will I wish to try to explain the picture. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to clarify a basic target area, and that when you are coming into the style, we have to give you some target areas to focus on so that you can become proficient at stepping, throwing a punch, stepping backward, throwing a punch, stepping to the side, throwing a punch, and then also stepping on an angle and throwing a punch. Once you learn these basic principles, then what will happen is you will get better and better at, again, like Sensei Roberto said, if you throw the punch straight, then your body has to be off center a little bit so that you can hit your target. If it is the center mass here, which is the solar plexus, if you do aim for that area, if you do it like Sensei Roberto said, if you do it straight on, you're not going to punch the guy in the center. You're going to punch him in his arm because you're throwing a straight punch. If you deliver a straight punch without an angle and you're trying to hit center mass, you will have to skew your body so that you are off the center line of his body and aim your two knuckles to hit the target with a straight punch in his center mass, which is the solar plex area. So to make this absolutely clear, and hope that it doesn't get misconstrued what I'm trying to say. When you practice your basic exercises and you throw a punch, we are having you throw a punch on an angle. Why? Because we ask you to picture somebody shoulder to shoulder to you, and that no matter how big or small you are, we try to have you aim opposite your height. Okay, so that you're not punching up or you're not punching down. You're trying to get a feel for where this punch begins, where it is supposed to go, and then where it's supposed to return to. So it's not just how do I say? It's not just letting your arm out and putting it back. There's many different components that go into delivering a proper punch, and that is your alignment, where you put your body in regard to where you want to strike, whether it be to the base area, whether it be to the chest, or even lower than the basic target area. So it was very interesting to hear or to read some of the comments that were being made on what people were taught and how to deliver a basic, I want to say, the way we're talking about it in the post, it's an Isshin-ryu punch. It's not it's not what you would consider. Everybody throws this same punch. It's not. Our vertical fist is slightly different than other martial artists in the way they build their fist. First of all, most people put their thumb like this and they wrap it around their fingers. In the Isshin-ryu system, we punch with our thumb on top. So therefore, aiming with these two knuckles, if you are going to punch to the center, when you're doing your basics, if you are going to punch to the center mass, you will have to bring your arm on an angle, almost as if you were shaking someone's hand. You come to the center of your body when you extend your hand to shake someone's hand. Well, it's the same thing in our basics, because we do, again, now in basics, you have to understand this is for white belts and the Q ranks, to teach them, again, to become proficient on hitting a target. Okay, that's why we use the pad, so that they can stand, step up, and boom, and hit the pad, so I can feel that they are delivering their punch properly. But again, you must understand that's not a straight punch. A straight punch off my obi will, if I'm shoulder to shoulder with you, will probably punch you somewhere like here. Okay, because this is my chest area. So if I'm at my chest here, like, you know, that's basically where I'm aiming when I throw, you know, the basic punch. You know, I go to the center. So that means it's not straight. The punch that I'm throwing is on an angle, okay? And that's what Roberto Sensei was trying to explain. And it's very hard to do this in words because you have to do it like this. You have to, the alignment of the two practitioners has to be offset some if you're going to throw a straight punch to the center mass. Again, if you're shoulder to shoulder and you throw a straight punch, it's not going to be the center mass, it's going to be to another target. Okay, so whatever you're aiming for, whether it be the arms or, you know, a rib or something like that, that's not what was being discussed, and it's because if you look at the picture of Sensei Nagel as he's throwing the punch, as Sensei Roberto said, it does look like he does have a shoulder dipping, and that he is throwing the punch low. Sensei Bartashevitz said that, you know, at that time they were learning, so you have to allow room for growth, and not say whether it's right or wrong, but that they were in the process of learning. That's why they were on the island of Okinawa, taking up this martial art in their off time when they weren't working, and that again, they had to learn it, all right? So when you see something and you make a comment, you should be mindful of the fact that when you say a first-generation student is doing it wrong, again, there is a language barrier, that the comments were coming from overseas, so there is a language barrier, and yes, when you read something, sometimes somebody reads something and interprets it one way, and then sometimes somebody reads something and interprets it a totally different way. So that's why these videos now are popping up, because when Sensei Sloan made his video, again, what he was trying to explain is that when you throw the punch to the center, your arm has to come off your obi and travel in an angular direction. If you are shoulder to shoulder with your opponent, your arm will come off your obi and go in a, it's not a straight line. Unless you skew your feet and get off center line and now step up and throw your punch. Now if you throw a straight punch, you will hit the center line because you're no longer shoulder to shoulder. And I think that that's what was missing out of the conversation online, that they should have been more specific about where you place your feet. Because if you look at the picture of Sensei Nagel, since he is throwing a low punch, all right, or the picture depicts him throwing a low punch, we don't know, because the picture doesn't tell us what he was doing. So it appears that he's throwing the punch wrong. He's not at center line. He's not, his arm is straight. He's slightly dipping. So again, not to defend or offend anybody, it is just that, when I saw the picture, the thing I thought about was how skinny he is. I don't know. I mean, Sensei Nagel was always very thin. Even in his elder years, he was a thin man. But in this particular picture that they're talking about, my goodness, I mean, it looks like, like the poor man is malnourished. He's skin and bones. I mean, you can see his rib cage, his collarbones. I mean, he's really, really skinny. And that's what I noticed about the picture, that he was so young and, thin, amazingly thin. And that when they brought up the thing about the picture, and I finally looked at the picture and saw where he was throwing, again, I'll go with Sensei Bartoshevitz. They were learning, and that the picture doesn't tell us anything about, where Sensei Nagel would deliver a punch at that stage in his martial arts journey. It was just a picture that they snapped of him working out with one of the Okinawan students, and there are two small children in the background watching, which is another thing that when I first saw that photo, that I saw the two kids watching them work out, which I thought was very significant because one was an American, okay? And I want to say this about, generating energy and power and focus in our punch because of the retraction value that we have in Isshin-ryu. We also have a thrust punch as well, okay? But we have a punch that it has this added attraction to it because it's not just when you watch fighters fight and they deliver their punches, okay? It's like everybody does it. Everybody throws punches like that. We in the Isshin-ryu system, if you're taught by the senseis that I guess incorporate this in their teaching, there is a retraction value to our kicks, our punches, our blocks. Now, to us here at Ed McGrath's School of Isshin-ryu, a block to us is a strike. We're looking, yes, we do have Ed McGrath's School of Isshin-ryu does practice what Sensei McGrath calls directional blocking, and that is knocking any type of aggression that's coming to your primary target area, which is your face, to evade and protect. First and foremost, you have to evade and protect. The second thing is, if you can knock it offline, which is the whole topic of this video, the line in which you throw a punch is your main objective to not getting hit. All right? When somebody swings at you or kicks at you, it's not so much the block. It's where you put your body. It's where you step. So again, the whole conversation, which if you look at the amount of people that chimed in on this post, it was very interesting because everybody has their own take. All right? But here at this dojo, we practice we leave our energy. When I punch something, and the way I was taught to deliver the basic Isshin-ryu strike, it's almost like getting shot with an arrow, because it just penetrates. The energy is if this is your spine and this is your chest, I'm trying to do this when I punch. I'm trying to, close that gap so that I can leave as much energy in the area that I hit as possible. Okay, to cause that what Sensei said, it like explodes. Because everything gets compressed and then bounces back out, and it's just like it's just like a rubber band effect here. Whack, and when the rubber band snaps back, it hits my hand. Okay, so it's the same principle as the Isshin-ryu punch. It's that, and again, we have a thrust punch. That's my finisher. Okay, that's the, you know, when we set and, you know, drill our hips and our shoulders and everything into that punch. That's our thrust punch. But the Isshin-ryu youngsters that's why our kata looks the way it does, because of the architecture that we implant in these youngsters that Tatsuoshi Mobuku Sensei developed, that have these subtle differences. Okay, and I'm telling you, if you look at some of the first gen students, especially Mitchum Sensei, Nagel Sensei, Long Sensei, they had this, you know, where they penetrated their target. Again, if they were looking to hit here, they were aiming here. You know, they did the distance and timing past their target. So that's the value. And that was another thing that came up on the posts. It would be like as if I was aiming center line of the body, which I thought was very, very interesting, because when you deliver a punch, you should look to punch through your target, not just hit the topographical area here. You just don't want to hit here. You want to push this, you know, in as much as possible. Okay, that's why I like palm heel strikes, because palm heel strikes, number one, are highly effective. They're very easy to deploy, and the stances that come with pressing your opponent with palm heel strikes are very simple. You know, they're just very simple steps, and that, as Sensei said, you got to keep it simple in a fight. You don't want to get fancy. You want to do things that are, you know, very simple techniques. I mean, front snap kicks are a very simple technique. If you know how to throw a good front snap kick, you can't keep somebody off of you that's charging. You just have to have the proper distance and timing. And again, when you kick, the same rules have to apply, because now you wanna kick through your target. You don't want to kick just on the surface, so that you extend your leg and you only hit the, you know, the surface of the target. You want to try to drive through the target. Now, how do we generate energy? How do we generate power? Where does the hara, because they did mention the center. It's a key issue. How do you generate it? Everybody teaches it differently. As a jujitsuan, I know how to not only, you know, take energy into my circle, but I also know how to let energy out of my circle. So, you know, completing that circular distribution of the energy is the first rule. Evade and protect. Do not stand in front of aggression, because if you do, 9 chances out of 10 you're probably going to get hit. You better be moving your body, all right? What you do with your hands and your feet are additional backups to anybody trying to attack your primary target, which is your head. But once you get that concept in you, you will not want to stand in front of somebody punching at you. You will want to skew those shoulders. You got to take one shoulder out of the fight immediately, and then where you go. You know, as Sensei said, try to train the students to, when you punch at them, whether it's a straight punch, a round punch, a grab, anything that's coming into their circle, try to get them to understand how to misdirect that energy and complete the circle, first and foremost, which is the evade and protect. And then the second concept is where you put your body. Okay, where you step and where you put your feet. Now, the reason why I say I'm a jujitsuan is because I've been around a lot of people, a lot of great masters that come from jujitsu. okay? And where you see them step when they get attacked, whether you're going to get punched, taken down, thrown, some people call it close the gap, okay? Watch where they put their feet. They usually put their feet right in between yours, right in your center line. So when you're stepping towards them, they're stepping in a way where they put their feet right in the middle of your body, so that they can not only, now let me say this, the middle of your body could also be not only in the center, but it could also be here. This is also your middle, okay? But it's on the side angle. This is a front angle, middle, okay? Now you have a side angle, middle, and you also have a back angle, middle, okay? So all depending on what they did to you just before you struck them, they may have turned you around, and now your back is facing them, okay? But again, watch where they put their feet. They put their feet somewhere in proximity of your center to break your balance. Once they break your balance, you're going where you're punching, because they're going to complete that circle. They're going to allow your energy to continue traveling, and again, because of where they put their body, you're going to go not only where they put you, but where you're punching or kicking. Now, again, this may not all be available to a white belt, but these concepts and principles are taught to the Q ranks, so that when they are ready to become black belts, they have these basic fighting principles inherent in the way they do their basics. Okay, so when you step up and you throw a punch, if your punch is skewed to your center line, then that tells me you see your opponent shoulder to shoulder. He's standing right in front of you, shoulder to shoulder. So here's my shoulders, here's the opponent's shoulders. Now if I do this, okay, now the opponent, we're no longer shoulder to shoulder. We're skewed. One of the things I do tell everybody is, if you see somebody walking up to you that you may think is going to swing at you, instead of standing square when that person is walking up to you, skew your body. You don't have to move your feet, not if you don't want to, but skew your body. Take one shoulder out of the fight. So what we'll do is, it's about 10:30 in the morning here. We'll gee up, and we'll be back with the physical description of it now. So now you have my my verbal take on it. All right, I'll go put on my uniform, and we'll do this again, because I want to also document the way Sensei Sloan did, the punch and the kick that's taught here, to see what the community has to say about that. It's very interesting, like they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Well, the picture that you saw or that was posted about Sensei Nagel, when you see the comments that came out of that picture, and that sparked a global discussion, I can only imagine now, once I gee up and I put my video up, what everybody's going to say. So, look, good, bad, or indifferent, getting people to talk is the key element in us building unity and harmony. If you see what I'm doing in my camp and you don't like it, and you speak about it, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to take offense. And if I'm open-minded, which I am, I'll learn something. Wow, what a concept, huh, folks? Okay, so that's my take on it. Now what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to gee up, and I'm going to do what Sloan Sensei did. I'm going to show you that I don't throw the punch with my arm. I throw the punch with my hips. That's how I generate my energy, okay? And I should be able to do that with my feet solid on the ground. I should be able to do that in motion. And if by any chance I get my feet swept out from under me, I better be able to strike on my way to the ground and when I get to the ground. All right, so that's my take on that. You should be able to throw a punch or a kick even when your body is all discombobulated, as I tell the kids. All right, be creative, folks. It's almost like you have to be a gymnast. Gymnasts get their bodies, in all different kinds of. That's what we got to be like. We got to be flexible. We have to be able to not be so rigid in our design that you say, well, Sensei, you said you got to throw a punch like this. Well, that's the basic idea. Yeah. Don't misconstrue that as that's it. That's the only way we do it. Which is what really irked me about the post, because when they said first generation student doing it wrong, if you practice karate and you practice in earnest, no matter what you do, it's not wrong. It's the way you do it. And if a target area it describes to you, in your view, that you're doing it wrong, you need to reevaluate what karate is. Karate is an evolution of, first we give you a specific curriculum. What you do with that curriculum is what makes you who you are. Because if you take it and you learn it and you put it on the shelf, okay, and that's the way you do it. But in my case, I learned the curriculum and I'm always taking it apart and putting it back together. Taking it apart and putting it back together. And I don't move anything around. I leave it just the way it was taught to me. But it's like a puzzle. When you do Sei Sankata, you can spend a year on Sei Sankata, highlighting Sei Sankata, taking it apart, putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together, and working the bunkai. Sure, we do give you a basic set of bunkai to give you some idea of what you're supposed to be doing. But after we do that and you practice it, you become proficient at it, wouldn't you like to, I don't know, experiment? Wouldn't you like to try some stuff? Well, that's what it's for. That's what the kata is for. The kata helps you explore. The founder made us a kata called Sun Tzu. Right? But it has little bits and pieces of all the other katas. And a very distinct message in that kata from him. That if you practice that kata, this is the inherent jitsu he wanted you to learn. Which I find is just amazing. I like elbows, maybe because I'm an Isshin-ryu practitioner. I like elbows. Some people say, well, that's dirty. Okay, well then don't hit me. If you don't hit me, I won't be dirty. But if you go to hit me, and I'm close enough to you where I step properly, it will be a punch and elbow. Cha-ching, cha-ching. I just like that. Okay, and if it knocks you out, if the elbow knocks you out, well, okay, good. I'm done. My work is done here. Now I have to help the person that I just hurt because they went and, tried to hit me. Does the picture say all of that when you said Sensei Nagel was wrong? That he was doing the technique wrong? No. No. But that's what he taught us. So, the picture didn't say that, but again, this is my verbal explanation of when you write something like first generation student doing it wrong. Understand that, as Sensei Bardashevitz said, everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody's got to learn. So there's a easy way to ask things, And then there's, not so easy way to ask things. So, again, I can't wait to put my video up now because I can only imagine what's going to come out of that. I hope that when I step, I will explain what Sensei Roberto said. That if I punch off my hip and I punch to your center line, I have to skew my hand. If not, that's not a straight punch. A straight punch off my hip, coming shoulder to shoulder, punches you in the arm. Okay, so that's what I have to say about that. Now, like I said, I'm going to go geek up, and I'll be right back, folks. Thank you. We'll be right back.